What's going on today, GLG Crew? It's GLG Dan. We got a deck profile here for you. It's going to be Green Yellow Law. Pretty excited about this leader. Got a bunch of new support from the starter decks in set 11. I think it has really good matchups into a lot of the best decks in the format, and it's also a really fun deck. You guys might remember I'm a big fan of Red Green Law, and it's kind of got the same vibes for this one too. So we're going to dive into the deck profile, talk about some of the matchups, some of the key cards in the deck, and then we'll do some gameplay after too. So tune in. Right, to start off the deck profile here, first for the leader introduction. For the ability, it's just Dawn ×1, activate main. If the total cost on your board is cost 5 or less, or 5 or more, return a character to the hand, and then flip over the first life and reveal. If it's a 5 cost or less supernova, you can play it from the top of the deck. This it's pretty good because allows for a little more aggression early game, but it also gets a little risky because you rip a little bit of life. But a lot of the key cards in this deck kind of help mitigate that. So to start us off here, we'll start off with the searchers. So there were some new searchers introduced, but we'll start off with the list here. So got a total of 4 Luffy searchers, and then the new Kid Killer searchers for 4 of, and then I'm also running 2 Bonnies. This is the searcher line. I'm just running 10. I've seen lists where they've been running 12. I think it's not needed. I think you do need to cut a couple Bonnies. I've been seeing people running 4 of this too. I think you can cut it and make some more room for better cards in the deck. I think 12 is getting a little greedy, but I've only tested this a little bit with the new cards and everything. So, but for right now, the 4 killers have been great. So for the deck, originally had Caramel. That was a 2-cost card. That was on play, draw 1 card. I cut that for Kid Killer because it's just a better version. You get a search in. Pretty much your entire deck is Supernova. This has really been a good add. Even though it's a 2-cost, it actually helps out the deck more just because you increase the cost count for the ability here, so you're able to activate the ability maybe even on turn 2 if you're going second. So it just allows for a little bit more versatility. The activate main ability, or on your opponent's turn, on your opponent's attack ability, to trash this card and then stand at dawn, doesn't really come up. There are some cards that are out right now, like I think the Gum Gum. There's a King Kong gun one that's like boost leader by 3k, but I don't run that card. Some people might, so this might come up for them in the future. Set 12, there's some cards that are coming out that are events that are good, but as of right now, I don't really imagine using his ability, mainly because you're looking to bounce it back to your hand anyways with leader ability. But this is pretty much for the searcher count here. Moving on from the searchers, we're gonna go on to the blockers. So this is the new addition here. This is the Capone Gang base 2 costs, and I'm running 4 of these, and I'm also running 4 of the Jewelry Bonnie blockers still. This Capone is crazy. Literally what the deck needed. So pretty much it's a 2-cost blocker, but also once per turn, if your opponent removes a character from your board that's a supernova, you can instead place it on the top of your life cards. So if like someone looking to KO like the Cavendish, you can instead place that on the top of your life face down. And this just helps just because with leader ability, if they try to remove it next turn, you can just play it back out again for 1 Dawn. With the cost of 1 Dawn and bouncing the character. It just adds for a little bit more protection. Before you're running Tashigi, and that was kind of hard to find, but this is because it's searchable and it's a 2-cost. It's been super helpful, and on top of that, being a blocker is pretty crazy. The other one, Jewelry Bonnie, this stays as a 4 of just to allow for more plays to place on top. It's still a really good going second turn 2 play for the deck too. And then moving on to the 2K counters, so I'm currently running 4 Capones, the 1-cost Capones, and I'm also experimenting with 2 Zeuses, and then 2 X-Drakes, and then 2 Tashigis right now. Right now for this Capone, this is huge. This is probably like one of the best 2Ks in the deck, just because it allows you to swap a card with a 5-cost, and then you can just bounce this card back with your leader skill. Allows a lot of versatility to play in the 5-cost, so always keeping this as a 4 of. X-Drake is at 2 right now. I've seen lists with the Apu, the green one with the 1-cost. I've been kind of chesting it just because I feel like X-Drake's been pretty solid, as is able to rest a 4-cost or less. But might change it out. It just really depends. Now the new card that's been added is the Zeus card. Pretty much for this one, on play, you may add the top card of your life to your hand, and then you get to KO up to one of your opponent's 5-cost or less characters. So there's a form of removal for the deck. The only thing is you do take the life, but sometimes it's okay, especially like let's say you're healed from a Capone. Let's say you can just add it off that. I've seen lists in the East that running 4. Kind of just testing it out. I don't know if 4 might be a little too greedy for me, but it is a 2K though, which is also really good, so you don't necessarily have to use the ability. It's not dead. But for right now, I just wanted to put 2 Zeus in because I would still want to run 2 Tashigi. This initially before the new set dropped and the starter decks dropped. This was at a 4, but as of right now, Capone, you have this for most of your protection. So this was not super needed. I still do like the fact that they just can't remove him. With Capone, they do get rid of the body and he does get healed. But this could be cuttable. This is more of a flex block right now. Kind of more testing needs to be done for this. Now moving on to the 5 cost for the deck. Moving on to Cavendish. 4 of the Cavendish. I'm running 4 Cavendish, 4 Bonnie, 4 of the blocker laws, and then 2 of the restand laws. For the 5 Cavendish, right, mandatory 4 of probably the best card in the deck. Bonnie right now too, I'm liking it at 4 just for the ability to stun a Don or stun a character, just to be able to maximize potential on the leader ability. Once the next set drops in 12, there's another Bonnie that gets dropped. Maybe you cut this Bonnie down to maybe a 3 of or a 2 of, or you cut down here. I haven't been testing it out yet, but that new Bonnie is gonna be really good. Restand Law, I just cut this one down to 2 recently. Had it at 3. Just needed to make some more room for some of the other cards, and honestly, you really don't need this card that much. The play with the restanding the Cavendish is really good. You get to stand full Dawn for the turn, and then kind of adds for a little bit more aggression. But I think 2 is just fine. You can maybe even run less than this. More of a flex spot for that too. And then moving on to the top end, there's not much. It's just going to be the 7 cost laws. 4 of those, 2 Hodies, and then 2 kids. Right now, I was running 3 of the laws, but I think just kind of seeing this card consistently, and when you're searching a lot, you're kind of making sure you want to prioritize some other cards other than this one, so you want to guarantee that you'll find it later. I just like dropping this back to back. And dropping this back-to-back is lethal, especially if they don't have any form of removal, or even if they do, and they remove 1 body, then you play out 2 more right after. It's pretty crazy. This deck going first, too, is really good. I really like the turns when on 5 you play Cavendish, and then maybe even follow with the Capona swap, and then play the blocker Law, and then on 7, dropping this on curve. It's just, the tempo is insane. Whether you play this and put this on your life, or even a Bonnie, it doesn't matter. Whatever card you place is pretty solid. So that's why I have it as a 4 of. Hodie Jones at 2. I think a lot of lists are running this at 2. It's still a great card. Tapping 2 Dawn or two blockers maybe, and then giving it rush as well. Still one of the best green cards in the game right now, I'd definitely say. And then 8 cost kid. This one's great. Keeping this at 2. I've seen lists that run it at 1. I might even run it at 1. Just because you can search it out. And in matchups, you're just digging for it. You search so much and you know that's your win con. You can just grab it. 2's okay right now. Maybe I could even swap this 8 cost kid with put a 3rd Hodie and keep it as a 1 of. It really just depends. Just needs some further testing. But 8 cost kid's always been great. It's sometimes even a auto win in some matches. But we'll see how in this format how it does against UP. Just because all their bodies are pretty tall, so it might not be as good. But I just need to test it out there more. But other than that, that's pretty much it for this list. I really like it. The flex spots, I definitely could say, could be the Tashigi, and then maybe even one of these, one of the restand laws, and the Eustace kid. Everything else I've been liking a lot for ratios. I might even test maybe doing 12 or maybe even 8. I've seen less 8 searchers. I've seen people do 8 searchers too, but kind of just need to see where that goes. But yeah, that's pretty much it for that. All right, so going into matchups, right, the big bad deck of the format's going to be UP Luffy. That one just came out, and so with this deck going into it, honestly, I definitely would say this deck is favorable in the matchup. Just because you flood board pretty early, and a lot of your main bodies are all 6Ks. So it reaches that leader point, or that leader power. So you're able to poke at them and fish a lot of cards out of their hand, and with the aggression, I think it's definitely favorable in that matchup. And now due to the additional consistency with the Kid Killer too, as well, the deck kind of plows through that deck for the most part. Obviously, if they high roll and they see like the nuts, I guess like you could say that for any deck, but when that deck high rolls, it's pretty nutty. And so like 9 mom after 9 mom gets pretty rough. The 9 mom's not as bad if you have Capone, because versus them kind of stacking it on the bottom of the life, you're able to force it to the top, which is good, and then replay it back out if that's the case. But as long as you're keeping the aggression and then flooding board, they have a hard time because they have no removal, or they have very small amounts of removal, and it's basically 1 card per turn. Like I think the 5 cost event that KO's a 5 cost, and then Ramsodon, that's also one that they use. But for the most part, though, they don't have much removal. And with the deck having so many blockers and so much defense, and then a lot of bodies that just hit 6k perfectly, the deck's pretty favorable with that. I do think this list is pretty good to shanks too. I've been playtesting against a lot of shanks, and it's the speed on it is just too much, and they're just because they removal one card at a time, they can't really do much about that. One of the worst matchups probably, and it's going to be more prevalent now than anything now that the new starter decks are out, Blackbeard. This deck is pretty much almost all on plays, and if they're shutting your on plays off, you can't search anymore. The only one you have is maybe Bonnie. If Blackbeard is heavy into the format, maybe the swap would be to put the Jewelry Bonnie back in to 4, and then move Eustace Kid to 1, and then put Hody to 3. That might be the move to get around it, but your 7-cost Law, all your 5-cost are all on play, except for like maybe when attacking Cavendish, but like that's super slow and they can just remove it. You have Capone to kind of play around it, and you could heal if they choose to remove any of the other guys. But even then, you leader ability, they still don't get their own plays. So that's something I gotta definitely experiment against and see what we can do to try to play against that. Especially with those new, like the Blackbeard card, that one's pretty lethal, basically a jack for the most part. So we'll see how that goes. Well, thank you guys for watching. Really do appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in for the Green Yellow Law deck list. We'll pump out some more content with some more deck lists coming up. But as always, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share with a friend. GLG out.